Hi class! Today we're going to discuss Africa. Did you know that Africa is one of the seven continents in the world? It has fascinating culture, landscape, and animals. In this lesson, we will discuss each of these in detail. We will also learn traditional songs children sing who are from Africa and complete a fun art project. Actually, this lesson will be more like an exciting little adventure without even having to leave our classroom. We're going to begin with the objectives. The first objective is that students will be able to compare and contrast the culture of the United States with the culture in Africa. The second thing is that students will be able to identify several animals native to Africa. And lastly, the student will recognize landscape typical of Africa. It seems only fitting that we begin with a map. I have selected this image because I like that it doesn't have the names of the continents. It makes us really think about where the continents are located. So we're going to go through them. Number 1 has America in it, where we live, and it is referred to as North America. Number 2 is South America. Number 3, way down here at the bottom, is Antarctica. Number 4 is Europe. And number 5, this is where we're going to be focusing today, is Africa. Number 6 is Asia, and number 7 is Australia. Those are the 7 continents, and again, we'll be focusing on Africa, which is number 5. I like to begin by getting us out of our seats a little bit. We're going to go on a little safari around the classroom. You may notice that I have these little cards, there's 16 of them, hung up in random places around the room. And on each card is a picture of an animal or a plant or some type of landscape, something about Africa. And then on this side, you may notice that it has little facts like, did you know, for instance, this African hunting dog uses sight rather than smell for hunting. I find that quite interesting. There's fact quests, there's I Spies, just some fun little things to get us thinking about what we might see in Africa. With this activity, there's a job that you have to do as students. So the first thing you need to do is get your clipboard, a pencil, and a new piece of paper. The second thing you need to do is number your paper from 1 to 16 in the left-hand column. After you've completed that, then you need to travel around the room with a buddy and find the 16 safari cards. And again, the cards will look like this. Once you find a safari card, you'll need to write the name of whatever you find on the safari card. Again, in this situation, it would be the African hunting dog. Then, what I want you to do is write something you found interesting from this information next to the name. For instance, I would probably put that they hunt by smell. They hunt by sight rather than smell. I better read my cards a little better. So that would be an interesting fact that I would put on the paper. After you have completed all 16 of the cards, then you return to your seat and we will proceed from that point. So I would invite everyone to pause at this point and go complete their safari around the class. Welcome back. I hope you had a very enjoyable time with the safari and that you had some great experiences. I enjoyed hearing what you all found interesting about Africa and how we were able to add upon that a little bit. Now that you've went on your own little safari, what I'd like to invite you to do is to watch this video. It's a wonderful video about the wildlife and landscape of Africa. I'm going to play just a little snippet here so that you can kind of get. And as we watch this, you will notice that there are animals running and jumping. There's music that is native to the African way of life. It's really very fascinating. So go ahead and pause now and go and watch the video. What I would, before you do that actually, what I'd like you to do is turn your paper around, the one that you had numbered from 1 to 16, and I want you, as this video plays, to find 3 additional facts about Africa that you may not have realized in the past, and I'd like you to write them on the back of your paper so that we can discuss them. Okay, we will pause for now, and then I will be back as soon as you've finished your video and had a discussion about the things that you found interesting. Okay, welcome back. Wasn't it fascinating to see some of those animals running in search of food and just to see the beautiful landscape of Australia and the interesting animals that we don't see very often here if we're not at a zoo or something in North America. So that's a really fascinating thing. Now, I want you to take a minute and think about some of the songs that we sing here in North America. What are some songs that we sing as a child? Some that come to my mind is ABCs. I think that's pretty typical of most places in North America, especially in the United States. Perhaps it's nursery rhymes, songs like the Itsy Bitsy Spider, or traditional songs like You Are My Sunshine. And they all seem very familiar to us. This video here is a song about friendship. And it's really interesting because the children sing it in their native language to begin with, and then they sing it using English. And so I want you to just take a minute to watch and enjoy this video. I hope you enjoyed the video with the songs and the children. I wanted to take that just a step further. Here are 3 pictures of children from Africa. And I want you to really study these pictures. I want you to see what you find that you have in common with these children, the things that are the same, and I also want you to think about the things that are different. That's what we call comparing and contrasting. So take just a few seconds and look. It looks like these children are they're working in some way. These children are performing, and it looks like these children, it's a little bit more leisure, maybe even traditional. What are the things that you can identify? I know for me, as I looked at the children that were working, I thought of my own children, and if they're helping us wash the car or do yard work or whatever, they're probably going to be in jeans and a t-shirt. And here we see these children, and they all have fabric wraps. I found that a little bit curious and a contrast, but the similarity is that we all work. These children, as they're performing, I couldn't help but notice how bright and colorful their outfits are. I noticed that they wear headbands and that some are much wider than others. It looks like they enjoy performing. Perhaps that's a similarity. There's a lot of children that we know, and maybe even in this class, that really enjoy performing and singing songs in front of people or being in plays, playing musical instruments. There's a lot of girls right now that I can see that have headbands on. They may be a little different than these headbands, in particular this one right here. But that's a similarity. We wear things on our head as a type of dress-up quality. However, the way that the clothing is structured is fairly different from what we would normally see if we were performing. And these children, they have, it looks like they've painted their face. Do we paint our face in the United States with makeup? Things like that. They have necklaces. Looks like this is some type of shell that's around this child's neck. Again, they've got flowers in their hair. But they put them behind their ear. Maybe we would have it on some type of clip or headband. So there's similarities. They use accessories, and we use accessories, but they're used quite differently. So that's a way that we could compare and contrast some of our cultures. Okay, the last thing that we have to conclude this lesson, we're going to do an art project. This art project is very typical of something you might see in Africa. It has the contrasting light and dark colors. If you'll notice, it's very symmetrical, and the person that made this had to make sure that they cut very carefully on all of the lines, because they use what we would call scraps to enhance the art. If you notice, this portion here was cut out so that it could become this portion over here. This portion was cut out so that it could be almost a mirror, well, it is a mirror image in contrasting colors. You will find these papers on your desk, and we will be creating this art image as well. I will be demonstrating how to fold the paper and how to cut in just a moment. But before we get to the art project, I want to go back to our objectives. We mentioned that we would be able to compare and contrast culture of the United States with the culture in Africa. I hope that you feel comfortable in that. We talked about the differences in what children wear, the songs that they sing. Those were some things that could be compared and contrasted in the two cultures. It also says that the students will be able to identify several animals native to America. Let's see if we can name some of those animals. There's elephants and lions and tigers and zebras. And I'm sure that you can name a few too. And lastly, the student will be able to recognize landscape typical to Africa. What are some of the types of landscapes that you noticed in the videos that we shared regarding Africa? There's a lot of desert. There's some lonesome trees. There is where there's water, it's beautiful and normally flowing. Some of the land is the cracked desert. So there are a lot of things that are typical to African landscape. I know that I've certainly enjoyed this lesson, and I hope that all of you have too, and that you can take this knowledge and move forward and just enjoy Africa, and maybe one day we'll all meet in Africa and get to see it for ourselves. Thanks for joining me in this lesson. I hope that you all have a wonderful day.